So hello and welcome to the Henson team here in Sarasota, Florida. And we're so proud to announce a new member to our team, Danny Ryan. Welcome to the group.
Thank you. Really happy about
Yeah.
it.
So this is an introduction to Danny to make sure that you guys know who you're working with when you get to know Danny and you call the team or you call Danny directly to do some wonderful real estate here in town. And we're going to kind of go through a little bit about his experiences, how he got here, what he can help you with, and he's got some really cool experiences we're really excited to add to the team. So, so Danny, let's talk about how you a couple things you have going on. So first of all, you met us. You worked with a builder here in town.
Correct.
We'll get talked out with the builders, but you met one of our partners, Marius McCon, that's here working the cameras for us, and you guys had talked about real estate when you were at the builder, and he showed you a video. And how'd you guys kind of meet?
Just by coming in, talking, making phone calls back and forth. Unfortunately, we couldn't get a sale, couldn't get someone qualified, but we just stayed in contact with one another and kind of became friends.
Yeah. So, and that's kind of how you found about what we do. Our team really focuses on video, really trying to help the customers and clients figure out what's best for them. And what's nice is you've worked both sides of the world, and you got some really cool experiences I think people are going to enjoy. So let's talk a little bit about you. You moved here from upstate.
Correct.
So talk a little bit about your journey down here and how'd you get down here to the Florida area?
Originally from Buffalo, New York. I was like 2014. Old girlfriend of mine, we decided that we wanted to go somewhere warm. We were kind of sick of the taxes and the cold weather up there in Buffalo. And we decided to take a trip to Florida. So we spent a week in Fort Lauderdale, and then we spent a week over here on the West Coast in Sarasota. Still got that fast-paced environment of New York City on the East Coast. Came over here on the West Coast and felt that Midwestern personality. Got off the I-75. I hit Tamiami. I thought I hit Niagara Falls Boulevard. I felt like right at home.
Oh, okay, great.
So within a half hour, I was feeling it.
So it was just a vacation trip. You guys just come down and just,
Correct.
Hey, let's go check things out. Who knows, something might click.
Correct. It's
Nice.
exactly what we're doing.
Nice. Now, what were you doing real estate up there, or did you start real estate down here?
I was doing real estate up there. I had my license with Keller Williams up there for 2 years.
Okay. Great training, by the way. That company does great training.
Great training.
Yeah.
They're always like, when you're coming in for training, because I still had a full-time job. I was running demolition crews for asbestos and mold and stuff on buildings and homes. And so we ended up, I was doing deals, a couple deals a year, plus I was doing my demo. And I was telling my girlfriend, she was looking, and I said, let's just go. I'll make it happen. I'll get my real estate license down there, and I'll start doing some construction. And here I am.
Nice. So, and that was how many years ago you said now?
It'll be 10 years.
10 years. Okay, great. So you came down here, you just got your license when you got here?
Correct.
Okay. So you got your license. Did you stay with Keller Williams at the time, or?
I went right to Keller Williams, yes.
Okay. So you came through. So good. And then, now you got in, you did the general for a while,
Yes.
Running your construction crews.
Yes.
So you had a good idea of that. So how did you get from where you were at Keller Williams, you first got here, to kind of where we are now, kind of maybe a little timeline of, show who Danny is, where you've done a couple of things in between to get to this situation and work in general real estate with us.
Yeah. So what I did was, I started at KW. I was like, I need money.
Yeah.
Because I got truck bills.
All realtors face that too.
Yeah.
Everybody think, just start showing houses, collect checks.
Yes.
Yeah, and it doesn't work that
It
way.
don't work like that. I'm not shooting money out of a machine. That
Exactly.
doesn't happen.
Exactly.
No, so I was a friend of mine. I met Frank. He was a realtor at KW, and he started hooking me up with his clients because he knew I knew how to fix things. So then I was, while I was trying to be a realtor, I was also doing rehabs.
Okay.
And then my name started getting out there. And so I was constantly doing rehabs and, doing a garage or doing a bathroom or a kitchen, et cetera, or floors. And then I'm like, I need to figure this out. How can I marry this?
Right.
So then I came up with a name. I called myself the Rehab Realtor.
Nice.
So I could get maybe both ends. So I kind of know how to walk in a home, know the square footage, pricing, what product can cost, what, if it's a plumber's costing $50 an hour, $80 an hour, kind of help the buyer. If it was you wanting to buy the house and flip, I can assess like this is kind of the ballpark where you'd be at,
Right.
What would cost, and then this is what would you be your after repair value.
Okay.
And then and so when you're trying to tell someone who's purchasing a home, like you can't, and if you're doing it for a business, you got to keep your emotions out of it, and it's just strictly math on the paper.
Yeah.
And you got to stay with that, and like don't get emotionally involved. Like you just look at the paper, look at the math. If the math works, you go for it.
Yeah, and I think that's a great advantage you have because, I'm getting ready to go to a show for investors and stuff. I go, 3 or 4 a year to help with some specific things investors are looking for. You already have that background of, you've been on both sides of it, and you've kind of, seen that. And I think in real estate we deal a lot of emotion because people like, that's my heart, it's my pet project, and you're like, okay. The numbers are the numbers. You can't wish the number to work,
Correct.
So, right. and you've seen it enough to where you can really explain it, to the average person. Like, I want to help you buy a home. I get paid that way, but I also want to be able to have a cup of coffee with you a week from now, knowing that I did my best to take care of you, not getting hurt on a deal.
Correct.
So I think that we've talked a lot about that since you joined the team. And I think it was really awesome that, when you met Marius, and we really focus on video and really trying to help buyers and sellers see the full picture and to try to separate them from their emotion. And I think that's what you really bring to the plate too, because we discussed it right off the bat, and it's definitely a big thing you have. So, going forward, some of the things that you can offer, let's talk about a little bit about, you worked with a builder for a while, where you don't want to name any builders. Nobody needs to know about those, but I think another thing you bring to the plate and you help the team with is you've written contracts for the builder.
Correct.
And when we go in and you hear 1,000 realtors say like, oh, you always need an agent. You always need an agent. Again, some people don't. I get it. Some people bought 50 homes, 20 homes. They might not want an agent involved. Great. Good for them. But when we're coming in, from what I understand and what I know, because I've probably done, 50 or 60 of these in the past couple of years, that contract is designed for the builder. And you were writing 100%. That contract. So you can't just come in and say, well, I want to scratch that and do that. I mean, is that something that happens quite often with a builder?
It favors the builder 100%, 100%. And they're not going to change the contract.
Right.
They're whatever's in that contract, it's the contract
right.
only. They're not like, hey, you need to take this out. They're not taking that out.
That's not, I mean, you might get negotiated on price or some incentives or, something here and there. But as far as the terms of the contract, it's kind of set in stones,
Correct.
Especially with the big builders, know.
Like me, when I first learned it, it took me a while to learn it. I actually, they actually took me off the floor. I actually spent another 2 weeks of learning the contract because the contract's 48 pages.
Oh my gosh, the one we normally write is like 12. 12 I think it's 15 with all the extra writers and everything, but that's the biggest it gets,
Yeah, so it's definitely. You're not going to know it all. So when I went back and learned it, and then finally I was with this one woman who helped me out, and she let me record her audio-wise and actually watch the contract live with her and the realtor and the client.
Nice.
And like, boom, light bulb went off in my head. I'm like, oh, finally got it. And then then I went back and you can listen to the audio and go through the contract, and then you start knowing where the stuff is on the screen. So if I'm sitting there and I have to talk about every single page, I know where I'm going.
Right.
And so there's probably about 7 areas in that contract that are actually important
that most people won't know, and probably most agents don't know. I mean, I would say that most agents, I think as a general agent, we're definitely there to help and guide, but there's something to be said about somebody like yourself coming into general real estate like this, doing residential, commercial, that because you've been on that side, you really are going to know what to look for.
Yes.
I mean, I can study this contract all day long, and I'm probably going to pick up the phone and call you and say, hey, what does this mean? Because I understand it, but I don't understand to the level that you've been trained from the builder to protect that clause,
Right.
And I think that's a special thing that you bring to the table for anybody looking to move to the area. And let's face it, new construction is kicking the butt out of resales right now.
Yep, it's hard to beat them right now because of like the deal incentives. If there's any money left over, say that's $25,000 a credit, and the closing cost is only say $17,000. Well, there's $8,000 left over. Well, you could use that. A lot of times they'll do a deal and say, hey, that $8,000 you can buy the points down.
Right.
So then it lowers their payment. So that's great, because the last thing you really want to do is, hey, let's lower the price, because all you're really doing is you're devaluing your neighborhood.
Right.
You don't want to, because when it comes appraisal time, that's not a good thing, because if you can't meet the appraisal, then you're got to come up with a difference.
Right. I think that's a key point that just came out of that too, is with working with you on a new construction, you are going to really understand, hey, this is where I think we can make a big difference for you as the buyer. You know, your client comes in, you guys go meet with a builder, and after you've had your meeting with that building rep, you guys step out, a cup of coffee or whatever, and then we kind of revisit, say, okay, hey, I've been on that side of the table before, and I know we have these 4 options that you might not know about. So let's discuss how you want to attack this to make that home best for you. Do we want to buy points down? Do we want to ask for extra stuff? They're not big about lowering houses right now, but some of the big companies are willing to make deals. And you've kind of had a sense of, like, you're in a back table where they call in and say, okay, guys, we didn't sell our 73 homes this quarter.
Right.
You know, so we're going to do this. So you can look at, hey, let's go look at this one builder. And you say, I have recognized an article the other day that they need to make another closes. Or I talked to 7 of my friends, and they have like another 26 closes to do this month before they hit their quarterly numbers. Let's approach this buy this way.
Correct.
And you're going to understand that more than the average agent.
Yes, and then a lot of times people, maybe some do, some don't. There's the behind the scenes, depending what builder you're with. There's always back pocket cash.
Yeah.
So
I've never even heard that term. Yeah. I love that term now.
So it's back pocket cash. So it could be like, say it's $5,000, for example. You don't know I have it, but
right.
I have it. But the buyer's interested. So it'd be like, hey, Dan, let me ask you a question. You know, you talked about the refrigerator and the stove, for an example. We'll just use those 2 options.
Right.
And then, like, if I could get you those, would you sign today?
Right.
Well, and he's like, I'm not sure. Well, before I go outside and call my boss, he's going to ask me that question. He's want to know if I got the answer. So for me to look, doesn't want me to look stupid.
Sure.
I have to say, like you say, yes, I already know I have that covered because I got $5,000 in my back pocket.
Right.
So then I just go outside, make the phone call, like, you know, I'm talking to somebody.
Yeah.
And come back and say, guess what? I got you the house.
Got you the house.
And so I call them like a concierge salesperson.
Sure.
For the home, for the big homes. Mm-hmm. They're just basically like, they look good, you know, which is great, because that's what you want. Like, hey, I won the argument.
Yeah.
And it, you know, it helps them out because they work hard. They pound the phones. They're doing their emails. They're doing the due diligence. They get traffic through their doors.
Right.
So, and they're happy, and then the buyer's happy.
And it's not, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that same thing happens when you go to a car dealership or stuff like that. But, you know, the builder is a company trying to make money.
Yep.
And they probably leave these little loopholes for you as the builder representation to say, okay, hey, here's a parameters we're willing to go in. But they're not just going to give it away. So you got to know what to ask, you know? And, and I, you know, I've learned through time working with gentlemen like yourself how to ask for those too. And, but I think that because you've been right there on the backside, you can say, hey, let's approach it this way or let's approach it that way. So, any other quick things you want to add out there about working with you?
I definitely know my construction. I know rehab. I know pricing. Easy to get along with, from Buffalo, New York. So anybody wants to come down from the north and, you know, stay in the Sunshine State, give me a call.
Nice. Well, you've been that route, right?
Yeah.
So you know what it's like to say, I'm sitting here in the cold.
Oh,
I think I want to make a decision. What do I do next? Let me give Danny a call.
Right. Well, you know what it is? My friends were like, when I moved down here, like, oh, you're going to come back. And then I said, let's just talk about the variables here. I'm like, 4:15, it's dark. I always told everybody the house that we had, it was $130,000. It was $5,900 in property tax, plus the school tax. So on a $130,000 home. Great neighborhood, but still it's taxes. And it's 4:15. It's dark in the wintertime. It's cold. It's 278 days of cloudy days in Buffalo.
Wow.
So then I'm like, down here, yeah, it's hot, but it's sunny. I have beaches. I have boats. I have pools. I got air conditioning. I got palm trees.
To work with us on the team. We're going to help you get that video out. We're going to help you really, promote who Danny is. And we're real excited because I think you're really going to bring a lot to the team and help us understand new construction even more than we already do because we do so much of it here. Excited to have your team. Welcome aboard.
I appreciate it. I'm very excited.
Yeah, it's going to be good stuff. So, hey, you guys make sure you reach out to Danny. He's going to have all of his information. This is his new video. It's going to be in there, all of his contact information. And you know what? We just want the conversation. It's not always everybody today, but let's just start that talk and start planning your move down here to sunny Sarasota.
Absolutely.
All right, great.